Hi, it's Lindsay Carlson here, and Kino Lorber is at it again, and they've just reissued an old film from the mid-50s and something that helped to launch one of the biggest crime franchises there is. I'm talking about Dragnet. This, of course, being the 1954 film directed by and starring Jack Webb, which subsequently would spawn several TV series and feature films. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinion. Nice cover art there, really suits the sort of noirish tone of the film. Back cover's got our description of the movie. Inside the case, pretty much just plain with our Kino Lorber Blu-ray here. I'll read the description of the film from the back of the case. Brand new 2K master. Dragnet, one of TV's most famous and innovative series from the 1950s, comes to colorful life in a classic full-length feature. As Sergeant Joe Friday, Jack Webb recreates his memorable portrayal of a Los Angeles cop. Just the facts, ma'am, in this action-packed tale. A mysterious gangland slaying has taken place. It is up to Joe Friday and the Los Angeles Police Department to put together the pieces. With the help of his partner, Officer Frank Smith, they enlist the services of a pretty and daring policewoman to trap the devious monsters and bring them to justice. Directed by Jack Webb, written by Richard L. Breen, and beautifully shot by Edward Coleman, the top-notch cast includes Richard Boone, Ann Robinson, and Dennis Weaver. This special edition includes both the widescreen and full-screen versions of the classic film. Growing up in my household as a kid, my dad always watched a lot of classic TV. And one of the shows that he constantly watched on those retro TV channels was the 1960s version of Dragnet, which of course starred Jack Webb and Harry Morgan. I didn't realize when I was a little kid that the franchise actually went back farther than that. It was a radio drama, and there was this movie and an earlier television series as well. There were also subsequent attempts to revive this brand following the death of Jack Webb, including a 1980s feature film that starred Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks, as well as a early 2000s television series that starred Ethan Embry and Ed O'Neill. Of course, none of those subsequent attempts have come close to when the series mastermind Jack Webb was at the helm. Webb really got into this role and pretty much made Sergeant Joe Friday his own character. And it's interesting to note that this character was such a big hit that when Webb died, he was actually given a police funeral with full honors, and his character's badge number was even retired by the LAPD. So that goes to show just how influential and wide this role was. This movie, of course, deals with Webb's character taking on mobsters, teaming up with his fellow officers, and doing what's necessary to try to take down these criminals, find the guilty parties in the killings that they're investigating, and prevent any more further incidents from occurring. Supporting cast is just as good. You have Dennis Weaver, who of course was known for Gunsmoke, as well as movies like Duel and Touch of Evil. Ann Robinson, who of course appeared in the original War of the Worlds from the early 1950s. And even Richard Boone, who appeared on television as Paladin in the TV series Have Gun Will Travel. It's an all-star cast, although I do have to say I've always thought that Dragnet generally worked better in 30-minute doses than as a feature film. And I do have to say, even if the movie does clock in at a mere 90 minutes or so, there are parts where it does drag a bit. I do prefer the faster pacing of the television series, particularly the later 1960s series that co-starred Harry Morgan. Although I do have to say Jack Webb does an excellent job with what he has here. It could have maybe been a little more streamlined and focused, but for what it is, it's certainly a nice trip back in time, and of course, one of the movies that went out to spawn one of the largest police drama television series of all time. I do have to say, the film is certainly not perfect, but for what it is, it's actually quite entertaining, and I'll always take any opportunity I can to watch anything from the Dragnet franchise while Jack Webb was still alive. Overall, the good certainly outweighs the bad, even if it's not a perfect film. The picture quality on this release does tend to be a bit hit and miss. Some shots look like they're absolutely beautiful and could have been shot yesterday. Others look much softer and maybe a little dirtier, like in particular the transition scenes when there's a fade between two scenes. Those look a little rough. That's kind of common with films from this era. Overall, I do think it's a pretty solid looking transfer. We do get both the full screen and the cropped widescreen version. This came out in that era in the mid-50s when they were transitioning between the Academy ratio to the widescreen ratio. That's why you see a lot of movies from this time period that are in both ratios on a lot of releases like this, or there might have been a debate between the ratios and which one to put on film. Sadly, there are no bonus features other than a trailer and a commentary track, but I am glad we at least got something there and they didn't just slap the movie on a disc. If you're a fan of the Dragnet franchise, this is certainly worth adding to your collection if the price is right. Are you a fan of Dragnet? What do you think the best incarnation of the series is? You think Jack Webb was the greatest television detective that there ever was? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, so I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.